go back from the introduction to up to and through plates four. Introduction through plate four. My, however, I think what I want to do is actually continue on with the other. I want to continue on with plates 5 through 10 so that I can just push through the book essentially. That's what I really want to do. I want to push through the book. And if for any reason anyone wants me to pause and go back, well then I can do that at that time. But for the immediate, I'm gonna go ahead and push forward, and I'll get ready to start reading plates 5 through 10 tonight. As I look through the book, plates 5 through 10 were a little bit longer, which is fine, which is partially it's part of the reason why I wanted to continue and continue reading. We've already begun to go through the ceremonies with Ani, the scribe being taken to Toth and Anubis and having his heart weighed with a feather and being found worthy as well. So I want to continue. I want to continue going through that procession. And at the end of it, what I will do is I will go back to the introduction and just give and read the introduction just for basic background on everything that's going on so far. So that should get everybody caught up to speed as much as possible. So yeah, just a reminder, if anyone has any um, recommendations for books that they would like for that they would like me to read, by all means, please let me know, and I will look those books up and try and figure out where to get them from, so I can do live readings of so that I can do live readings of the books that you would like to recommend. So here we go. Reading from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and this is by E.A. Wallace Budge with an introduction by John Baldock. And we are continuing on plates 5 through 6 immediately, and then I'll continue as I get to another plate. I'll let everyone know. I'll fill the listener in on where I am. All right. So plate 5 starts. The funeral procession to the tomb, running the length of plates 5 and 6. In the center of plate 5, the mummy of the dead man is seen lying in a chest or shrine mounted on a boat with runners, which is drawn by oxen. In the boat, at the head of the foot of the mummy, are two small models of Nephthys and Isis. By the side kneels Ani's wife, Tutu, lamenting. In front of the boat is the Sim priest, burning incense in a censer and pouring out a libation from a vase. He wears his characteristic dress, a panther skin. 8 mourners follow, one of whom has his hair whitened. In the rear, a sepulchre or chest, surmounted by a figure of Anubis and ornamented with emblems of protection and stability, is drawn on a sledge by 4 attendants and is followed by 2 others. By their side walk other attendants carrying Ani's pallet, boxes, chair, couch, staff, etc. In plate 6, the procession is continued up to the tomb. In the center is a group of wailing women, followed by attendants carrying on yokes, boxes of flowers, vases of unguents, etc. To the right of a center are a cow with her calf, chairs of painted wood and flowers upon them, and an attendant with shaven head, carrying a haunch, newly cut for the funeral feast. The group on the right is performing the last rites. Before the door of the tomb stands the mummy of Ani to receive the final honors. Behind him, embracing him, stands Anubis, the god of the tomb, and at his feet in front kneels Tutu to bid a last farewell to her husband's body. Before a table of offerings stand two priests, the Sim priest who wears a panther skin holding in his right hand a libation vase, and in his left a censer, and a priest holding in his right hand an instrument with which he is about to touch the mouth and eyes of the mummy, and in his left the instrument for opening the mouth. Behind or beside them on the ground in a row lie the instruments employed in the ceremony of opening the mouth, etc. The Mexis instrument, the Spokar box, the boxes of purification, the bandlet, the libation vases, the ostrich feather, and the instrument called Stab-ur, Timanu, or Tuntet, and the Pesh and Keth. The Kerhead priest stands behind reading the service of the dead from a papyrus. Here begin the chapters of coming forth by day, and of the songs of praise and glorifying, and of coming forth and going into glorious nectar and in the beautiful Aminta to be said on the day of the burial. Going in after coming forth, Osiris, Ani, Osiris, the scribe Ani saith, homage to thee, O bull of Aminta. Thoth, the king of eternity, is with thee, is with me. I am the great God in the boat of the sun. I have fought for thee. I am one of the gods, those holy princes, who make Osiris to be victorious over his enemies on the day of weighing of words. I am thy mediator, O Osiris. I am one of the gods born of Nut, those who slay the foes of Osiris and hold for him in bondage the fiend Sebau. I am thy mediator, O Horus. I have fought for thee. I have put to flight the enemy for thy name's sake. I am Thoth, who have made Osiris victorious over his enemies on the day of weighing of words, in the great house of the mighty ancient one in Anu. I am Teti, the son of Teti. I was conceived in Tatu. I was born in Tatu. I am with those who weep, and with the women who bewail Osiris in the double land, O Rechtet. And I make Osiris to be victorious over his enemies. Ra commanded Thoth to make Osiris victorious over his enemies. And that which was bidden for me, Thoth did. I am with Horus on the day of the clothing of Teshtetsh, and of the opening of the storehouses of water for the purification of the God whose heart moveth not, and of the unbolting of the door. Oh, hold on. We might have, let me see. Let me accept this guest real quick and see what's good. Oh, they left. Okay, no worries. I'll continue on. I will continue on. Look like my man Travis is in. I'm reading out of the book of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, bruh. I think it's pretty interesting. Anyway, uh, I am with Horus, who guardeth the left shoulder of Osiris in Sekhem, and I go into and come out from the divine flames on the day of the destruction of the fiends of Sekhem. I am with Horus on the day of the festivals of Osiris, making the offerings on the sixth day of the festival, and on the tenth festival in Anu. I am a priest in Tatu, Reri, in the temple of Osiris, on the day of casting up the earth. I see the things which are concealed in Restau. I read from the book of the festival of the soul, which is in Tatu. I am the Sem priest, and I perform his course. I am the great chief of the work. On the day of the placing of the Hinu boat, of the seeker upon his sledge, I have grasped the spade on the day of digging the ground in Sutin Henin. O ye who make the perfected souls to enter into the hall of Osiris, may ye cause the perfected soul of Osiris, the scribe Ani, victorious, in the hall of double truth, to enter with you into the house of Osiris. May he hear as ye hear, may he see as you see, may he stand as ye stand, may he sit as you sit. O ye who give bread and ale to perfected souls in the hall of Osiris, give ye bread and ale at the 2 seasons to the soul of Osiris Ani, who is victorious before the gods of Aptu, and who is victorious with you. O ye who open the way and lay open the paths to perfected souls in the hall of Osiris, open ye the way and lay open the paths to the soul of Osiris, the scribe and stewards of all the divine offerings, Ani, who was triumphant with you. May he enter in with a bold heart, and may he come forth in peace from the house of Osiris. May he not be rejected. May he not be turned back. May he enter in as he pleaseth. May he come forth as he desireth, and may he be victorious. May his bidding be done in the house of Osiris. May he walk, and may he speak with you, and may he be glorified, soul along with you. He hath not been found wanting there, and in the balance is rid of his trial. Chapter of giving a mouth to Osiris Ani, the scribe and teller of the holy offerings of all the gods. May he be victorious in Neter Kurt. Again, I am reading from the book of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and I am in plate 5 still, and I'm continuing on. I rise out of the egg in the hidden land. May my mouth be given unto me that I may speak with it before the great God, the Lord of the underworld. May my hand and my arm not be forced back by the holy ministers of any god. I am Osiris, the Lord of the mouth of the tomb, and Osiris, the victorious scribe Ani, hath a portion with him who is upon the top of the steps. According to the desire of my heart, I have come from the pool of fire, and I have quenched it. Homage to thee, O thou Lord of brightness, and thou who art at the head of the great house, and who dwellest in night and in the thick darkness. I have come unto thee. I am glorious, I am pure. My arms support thee. Thy portion shall be with those who have gone before. O grant unto me my mouth that I may speak therewith, and that I may follow my heart when it passeth through the fire and darkness. Moving on to plate 6. It's a rubric. If this writing be known by the deceased upon earth, and this chapter be done into writing upon his coffin, he shall come forth by day in all the forms of existence which he desireth. He shall enter into his place and shall not be rejected. Bread and ale and meat shall be given unto Osiris, the scribe Ani, upon the altar of Osiris. He shall enter into the fields of Eru in peace, to learn the bidding of him who dwelleth in Tatu. There shall wheat and barley be given unto him. There shall he flourish as he did upon earth, and he shall do he shall do whatsoever pleaseth him, even as do the gods who are in the underworld for everlasting millions of ages, world without end. Now I'm going to start plates 7 through 10. Plates 5 through 6 were pretty quick, and I will go back and do another reading of those momentarily. But I just wanted to pause and place for a second and thank everybody for hopping on. As I've said before, these are not my personal beliefs. This is simply me sharing the things that I read, a continuation of the things that I study, different religions around the world, just so I can begin to make dots. It's also a part of what I do for an esoteric understanding of Masonry, quite honestly. So that's just a little bit of background as to why I'm reading the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Again, it is not because I'm some type of practicing Egyptologist or whatever their religion is called. It's just I simply appreciate different religions around the world, and I think it's always worth a few moments to simply sit and reason together to understand each other's beliefs and backgrounds as we continue this glorious experiment and experience we call life. So, with that being said, I will continue on to plates 7 through 10. The vignettes of these plates, forming one composition, runs along the top of the text. The subjects are listed next to each plate. Plate 7. Ani and his wife in the Say Hall. He is moving a piece on a drop board. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. The souls of Ani and his wife standing upon a pylon shaped building. The hieroglyphics by the side of Ani's soul read, the soul of Osiris. A table of offerings upon which are laid a libation vase, plants, and lotus flowers. Two lions seated back to back and supporting the horizon over which extends the sky. The lion on the right is called Yesterday, and that on the and that on the left, Tomorrow. The Binu bird and the table of offerings. Number 6. The mummy of Ani lying on a bier within a funeral shrine. The head and foot are Nephthys and Isis in the form of hawks. Beneath the bier are vases painted to imitate variegated marble of glass, a funeral box, Annie's palette, etc. Plate 8. The god He, millions of years, wearing the emblem of years upon his head and holding a similar object in his right hand, he is kneeling and extends his left hand over a pool in which is an eye. The god Yukta Ura, great green water, with each hand extended over a pool. The one under his right hand is called She on Hesman, pool of Natron, and the one under his left hand is She on Maat, pool of Nitra or salt. A pylon with doors called Restau, gate of the funeral passages. The Ukchat facing to the left above a pylon. The cow Murat Mayat Ra, Mehurit, the eye of Ra, with a flail and having on her head a disc and horns, and round her neck the collar and minat. A funeral chest from which emerges the head of Ra and his two arms and hands, each holding the emblem of life. The chest, which is called Ayat Abtu, the district of Abydos, or the burial place of the East, has upon its side figures of the four children of Horus who protect intestines of Osiris or the deceased. On the right stands Taumatef and Kepsenuf, and on the left, Meshta and Hapi. Plate 9. We're almost already through plate 10. This is actually going a bit faster than what I anticipated, but we're good. We're going to keep pushing. I'll go back and reread this just in the event anybody wants to rehear something that they might have not heard the first time, and I'll do it a little more. I'll do it with a little more finesse, but let's keep pushing. For TikTok purposes, this is for educational purposes only. So we're about to read plate 9 in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Plate 9. Figures of three gods who together with Meshta, Hapi, Tamotef, and Kepsenuf are the seven shining ones. Their names are Mayat F. There's two F's in there. I can't pronounce it like that. Kari Bek F and Heru Kent Mati. The god Anpu, Anubis, jackal-headed. Figures of seven gods whose names are, oh, this is one that's crazy. Netztech, Netzteka, Aktek, Kenti Hef, Ami Untuf, Tesher Ma, Besmaim Ker, and An M Ru. We got through it. The soul of Ra, and the soul of Osiris in the form of a human-headed bird wearing the crown, conversing in tattoo. And finally, plate 10. I might actually go back and read the introduction through plate 10 after I read plate 10. So plate 10. The cat, i.e. the sun, which dwells by the Persia tree in Heliopolis, cutting off the head of the serpent, Apepi, an emblematic of his enemies. Three seated deities holding knives. They are probably Sao, Horus, Horus of Sekhem, and Nefertimu. Yeah, Nefertimu. Ani and his wife Tutu, who holds a sistrum, kneeling in adoration before the god Khepera, beetle-headed, who was seated in the boat of the rising sun. Two apes, emblematic of Isis and Nephthys. The god Timu, seated within the sun disk in the boat of the setting sun, facing a table of offerings. The god Rihu, in the form of a lion. The serpent, Uatchit, the Lady of Flame, a symbol of the Eye of Ra, coiled around a lotus flower. Above is the emblem of fire. Texts for plates 7 through 10. So those were the different emblematic stations, things, deity that were in, I guess, consortium of the funeral processions, uh, is what's been mentioned so far, and how the ceremonies, essentially what it sounds like and seems like, begin to shape up to be. All right, so let's keep pushing. The text for plates 7 through 10. Here begin the praises and glorifyings of coming out from and going into the glorious Nutterkert and the beautiful Amenta of coming out by day in all the forms of existence which please him, i.e., the deceased, of playing at draughts and sitting in the sea hall, and of coming forth as a living soul. Behold, Osiris, the scribe Ani, after he hath come to his haven of rest, that which hath done upon the earth by Ani being blessed, all the words of the god Timu come to pass. I am the god Timu in my rising. I am the only one. I came into existence in Nu. I am Ra who rose in the beginning. Who then is this? It is Ra who rose for the first time in the city of Suten Henin, crowned as a king in his rising. The pillars of Shu were not as yet created when he was upon the high place of him who was in Kemenu. I am the great God who gave birth to himself, even Nu, who created his name, Palt Neteru, as God. Who then is this? It is Ra, the creator of the names of his limbs, which came into being in the form of the gods and the train of Ra. I am he who is not driven back among the gods. Who then is this? It is Timu in his disk, or, as others say, it is Ra in his rising in the eastern horizon of heaven. I am yesterday. I know tomorrow. Who then is this? Yesterday is Osiris, and tomorrow is Ra. On the day when he shall destroy the enemies of Net-Ert-Cher, and when he shall establish as prince and ruler his son Horus, or, as others say, on the day when we commemorate the festival of the meeting of the dead Osiris with his father Ra, when when the battle of the gods was fought in which Osiris, lord of Amentet, was the leader. What then is this? It is Amentet. This is to say, the creation of the souls of gods when Osiris was leader in Set Amentet, or, as others say, Amentet, is that which Ra hath given unto me. When any god cometh, he doth rise and doeth battle for it. I know the God who dwelleth therein. Who then is this? It is Osiris, or as others say, Ra is his name, even Ra, the self created. I am the Benu bird, which is in Anu, and I am the keeper of the volume of the book of things which are, and of things which shall be. Who then is this? It is Osiris, or, as others say, it is his dead body, or, as others say, it is his filth. The things which are and the things which shall be are his dead body, or, as others say, they are eternity and everlastingness. Eternity is the day, and everlastingness is the night. I am the God Amsu, and is coming forth. May his two plumes be set upon my head. Who then is this? Amsu is Horus, the avenger of his father, and his coming forth is his birth. The plumes upon his head are Isis and Nephthys, when they go forth and set themselves there, even as his protectors. And they provide that which his head lacketh, or, as others say, they are the two exceeding great Uriah, which are upon the head of their father Timu, or, as others say, his two eyes are the two plumes. Osiris Ani, the scribe of the holy offerings, riseth up in the place in triumph. He cometh into his city. What then is this? It is the horizon of his father Timu. I have made an end of my shortcomings, and I have put away my faults. What then is this? It is the cutting off of the corruptible in the body of Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant before all the gods, and all his faults are driven out. What then is this? It is the purification of Osiris on the day of his birth. I am purified in my exceeding great double nest, which is in Sutton, Henan, on the day of the offerings of the followers of the great God who was therein. What then is this? Millions of years is the name of the one, Green Lake is the name of the other, a pool of natron and a pool of nitr, or, as others say, the traverser of millions of years is the name of the one. Great Green Lake is in the name of the other, or, as others say, the begetter of millions of years is the name of the one. Green Lake is the name of the other. Now, as concerning the great God who is in it, it is Ra himself. I pass over the way. I know the heads of the pool of Maata. What then is this? It is Re Stau, that is to say, it is the underworld on the south of Narut F, and it is the northern door of the tomb. Now, as concerning Shemaiah, it is Abtu, or, as others say, it is the road by which his father Tumu travelleth when he goeth to Seket Aru, which bringeth forth the food and nourishment of the gods behind the shrine. Now, the gate of Surt is the gate of the pillars of Shu, the northern gate of the underworld, or, as others say, it is the two leaves of the door through which the god Timu passeth when he goeth forth in the eastern horizon of heaven. O ye gods, who are in this presence of Osiris, grant me your arms, for I am the God who shall come into being among you. What then is this? It is the drops of blood which fell from Ra when he went forth to cut himself. They sprang into being as the gods Hu and Sa, who are the following of Ra and who accompany Timu daily and every day. I, Osiris, Ani the scribe triumphant, have filled up for thee the Uchat after it was darkened on the day of the combat of the two fighters. What then is it? It is the day on which Horus fought with Set, who cast filth in his face of Horus, and when Horus destroyed the powers of Set. Thoth did this with his own hand. I lift the hair or cloud when there are storms in the sky. What then is this? It is the right eye of Ra, which raised against Set when he sent it forth. Thoth raiseth up the hair or the cloud, and bringeth the eye alive, and whole, and sound, and without defect to its Lord. Or, as others say, it is the eye of Ra, when it is sick and when it weepeth for its fellow eye. Then Thoth standeth up and cleanseth. I behold Ra, who was born yesterday from the buttocks of the cow Meerut. His strength is my strength, and my strength is his strength. What then is this? It is the water of heaven, or, as others say, it is the image of the eye of Ra in the morning at his daily birth. Merut is the eye of Ra. Therefore, Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant, is great, is a great one among the gods who are in the train of Horus. The words are spoken for him that loveth his Lord. What then is this? Or, i.e., who are these gods? Meshta, Hapi, Tamotef, and Kepsenuf. Homage to you, O ye lords of right and truth, and ye holy ones who stand behind Osiris, who utterly do away with sins and crime, and ye, who are in the following of the goddess Hetep, see Kus. Grant that I may come unto you. Destroy ye all the faults which are within me, even as ye did for the seven shining ones who are among the followers of their Lord Sepa. Anubis appointed their place on the day when he said, Come, therefore, hither. What then is this? These lords of the right and truth are Thoth and Astes, lord of Amenta, the holy ones who stand behind Osiris, even Meshta, Hapi, Tamotef, and Kepsenuf. Are they all? Are they who are behind the thigh and the northern sky? They who do away with sins and crime, and who are in the following of the goddess Hetep Sekus, are the god Sebek in the waters. The goddess Hetep Sekus is the eye of Ra, or, as others say, it is the flame which followeth after Osiris to burn up the souls of his foes. As concerning all the faults which are in Osiris, the scribe of the holy offerings of all the gods, Ani, triumphant. They are all that he hath done against the lords of eternity, since he came forth from his mother's womb. As concerning the seven shining ones, even Meshta, Hapi, Tamutef, and Kepsenuf, Maatef, Keribeketh, and Horus Kinti Ma, Anubis appointed them protectors of the body of Osiris, or, as others say, set them behind the place of purification of Osiris. Or, as others say, those seven glorious ones that Nchekt, Akteket, and Erda, Neph, Bes, F, Kinti, He, Akher, Unat, F, Tesher, Ma, Amiet, Anes, Ubis, Hra, Purim, Ket. That was one name, by the way. And Maim, Karianef, Haru. The chief of the holy ones, who minister in his chamber, is Horus, the avenger of his father, as to the day upon which was said, Come therefore thither. It concerneth the words, Come thither, which Ra spake unto Osiris. And we're continuing on. Lo, may this be decreed for me at Amentet. I am the soul which dwelleth in the two Tatvi. What then is this? It is Osiris, when he goeth in Tatu and findeth there the soul of Ra. There the one God embraceth the other, and souls spring into being within the two Tatvi. I am the cat which fought, but by the Persa tree hard in Anu, on the night when the foes of Neb-Ertechter were destroyed. What then is this? The male cat is Ra himself, and he is called Ma'u, by reason of the speech of the god Sa, who said concerning him, He is like Mao unto which he hath made, and his name became Ma'u. Or, as others say, it is Shu, who maketh over the possessions of Seb to Osiris. As to the fight, by the Persea tree, hard by, in Anu, it concerneth the children of impotent revolt, with which when justice is wrought on them for what they have done. As to the words that night of the battle, they concern the inroad of the children of the impotent revolt into the eastern part of heaven, whereupon there arose a battle in heaven and in all the earth. O thou, who art in the egg, who, who shinest from thy disk and riseth in thy horizon, and who dost shine like gold above the sky, and like unto whom there is none among the gods, who sailest over the pillar of Shu, who givest blast of fire from thy mouth, who makest the two lands bright with thy radiance, deliver the faithful worshippers from the God whose forms are hidden, whose eyebrows are like unto the two arms of the balance on the night of the reckoning of destruction. Who then is this? It is Anuath, the God who bringeth his arm, as concerning the words, that night of the reckoning of destruction. It is the night of the burning of the damned and the overthrow of the wicked at the sacred block and of the slaughter of souls. Who then is this? It is Nemu, the headsman of Osiris, or, as others say, it is Apep, when he riseth up with one head, bearing Ma'at, right and truth, upon it, or, as others say, it is Horus, when he riseth up with two heads, wherefore the one beareth Ma'at and the other wickedness. He bestoweth wickedness on him that worketh wickedness, and Ma'at on him that follow after righteousness and truth. Or, as others say, it is the great Horus who dwelleth in Se, Caim. Or, as others say, it is Tath. Or, as others say, it is Nefertimu, or Set, who doth thwart the course of the foes of Neb-Ertechter. Geez, these names. Oh my goodness. These jokers had one hell of a language, I tell you that. Deliver me from the watchers who bear slaughtering knives, who have cruel fingers, who slay those who are in the following of Osiris. May they never overcome me. May I never fall under their knives. What then is this? It is Anubis, and it is Horus in the form of Kent and Ma, or, as others say, it is the divine rulers who thwart the works of their weapons. It is the chiefs of Shinyu chamber. May their knives never get the mastery over me. May I never fall under their instruments of cruelty, for I know their names, and I know the being Machet, who is among them in the house of Osiris, shooting rays of light from his eye, but he himself is unseen. He goeth round about heaven, robed in the flame of his mouth, commanding happy, but remaining himself unseen. May I be strong upon earth before Ra. May I come happily into the heaven in the presence of Osiris. Let not your offerings be hurtful to me, O ye who preside over your altars, for I am among those who follow after Neber, Nebertetcher, according to the writings of Khepera. I fly as a hawk, I cackle as a goose, I ever slay, even as the serpent goddess Nebka. What then is this? They who preside at the altars are the similitude of the eye of Ra and the similitude of the eye of Horus. O Ra Tmu, Lord of the great house, Prince Life, strength and health of all the gods, deliver thou me from the god whose face is like unto that of a dog, whose brows are those of a man, and who feedeth upon the dead, who watcheth at the bite of the fiery lake, and who devoureth the bodies of the dead and swalloweth hearts, and who shooteth forth filth, but he himself remaineth unseen. Who then is this? Devourer for millions of years is his name, and he dwelleth in the lake of Unt. As concerning the fiery lake, it is that which is in Anrut, hard by the Shenet chamber. The unclean man who would walk thereover doth fall down among the knives, or, as others say, his name is Matis, and he is the watcher of the door of Amenta, or, as others say, his name is Harry Sep F. Hail, Lord of terror, chief of the lands of the north and south, Lord of the red glow, who preparest the slaughter block and who dost feed upon the inward parts. Who then is this? The guardian of the bite of Amenta. What then is this? It is the heart of Osiris, which is the devourer of all slaughtered things. The Uriate crown hath been given unto him with swellings of the heart as Lord of Suten Henin. What then is this? He to whom hath been given the Uriate crown with swellings of the heart as Lord of Suten Henin is Osiris. He was bidden to rule among the gods on the day of the union of the earth with earth in the presence of Nebertetcher. What then is this? He that was bidden to rule among the gods is Horus, the son of Isis, who was appointed to rule in the place of his father Osiris. As to the day of the union of the earth with earth, it is the mingling of earth with earth in the coffin of Osiris, the soul that liveth in Suten Henin, the giver of meat and drink, the destroyer of wrong, and the guide of the everlasting paths. Who then is this? It is Ra himself. Deliver thou me from the great God, who carrieth away souls, and who devoureth filth and eateth dirt, the guardian of the darkness, who himself liveth in the light. They who are in misery fear him. As concerning the souls within the Itafi, they are those which are with a God who carrieth away the souls, who eateth hearts, who feedeth upon offal, the guardian of darkness, who is within the sicker boat. They who live in crime fear him. Who then is this? It is Suti, or, as others say, it is Smamur, the soul of Seb. Hail, Khepera, in thy boat, the twofold company of the gods in thy body. Deliver thou Osiris Ani, triumphant from the watchers who give judgment, who have been appointed to Nebertetcher to protect him and to fasten the fetters on his foes, and who slaughter in the shambles There is no escape from their grasp. May they never stab me with their knives. May I never fall helpless in their chambers of torture. Never have the things which the gods hate been done by me, for I am pure within the mesket. Cakes of saffron have been brought unto him in Tenet. Woo! There's a lot going on in here. We're almost finished. We're gonna continue to work through this. Almost there. Almost there. Lost my place for a second. Let me get back there. All right. Who then is this? It is Khepera and his boat. It is Ra himself. The watchers who give judgment are the apes, Isis and Nephthys. The things which the gods hate are wickedness and falsehood. And he who passeth through the place of purification within the Mescat and Anubis, who is behind the chest, which holdeth the inward parts of Osiris. He to whom saffron cakes have been brought in Tenet is Osiris, or, as others say, the saffron cakes in Tenet are heaven and earth, or, as others say, they are Shu, strengthener of the two lands of Suten Henin. The saffron cakes are the eyes of Horus, and Tenet is the grave of Osiris. Timu hath built thy house, and the twofold lion god hath founded thy habitation. Lo, drugs are brought, and Horus purifieth, and Set strengtheneth, and Set purifieth, and Horus strengtheneth. The Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant before Osiris, hath come into the land, and hath possessed it with his feet. He is Timu, and he is in the city. Turn thou back, O Rihu, whose mouth shineth, whose head moveth. Turn thou back from before his strength, or, as others say, turn thy back from him who keepeth watch is unseen. The Osiris Ani is safely guarded. He is Isis, and he is found with her hair spread over him. I shake it out over his brow. He was conceived in Isis and begotten in Nephthys, and they cut off from him the things which should be cut off. Fear followeth after thee. Terror is upon thine arms. Thou art embraced for millions of years in the arms of the nations. Mortals go round about thee. Thou smitest down mediators of thy foes, and thou seizest the arms of the power of darkness. The two sisters, Isis and Nephthys, are given to thee for thy delight. Thou hast created that which is in Kibera, Keraba, and that which is in Anu. Every god feareth thee, for thou art exceeding great and terrible. Thou avengest every good on the man that curseth him. Thou shootest out arrows. Thou, thou art Utachit, the lady of flame. Evil cometh among those who set themselves up against thee. What then is this? The hidden in form, granted in Mihu, is the name of the tomb. He seeth what it is. In his hand is the name of the shrine, or, as others say, the name of the block. Now, he whose mouth shineth and whose head moveth is a limb of Osiris, or, as others say, of Ra. Thou spreadest thy hair, and I shake it out. Over his brow is spoken concerning Isis, who hideth in her hair and draweth her hair out over her. Uachi, the lady of flames, is the eye of Ra. Woo, that was a lot. That was a lot. I'm gonna clap it up for myself. I don't need y'all to do it for me. I'm gonna do it for myself. That was a lot. My goodness. I don't know. I don't know. I need to take a break. Hold up. Yeah, those are long names. The Sandman series. Hey, I love the Sandman series. It was I've been waiting for more to come out, but it just hasn't yet. And hopefully it does come back out soon because I greatly enjoyed that series. Greatly enjoyed that series. I might have put my foot in my mouth a little bit. There was a lot that I just read. A lot. I did not anticipate reading that much. I'm now at plates 11 through 12. I'm not reading those tonight, but I came from plate 4. I'm sorry, 5 through 6. So I just read pages 29 through 60. If you were able to hang out with me while I read that, I greatly appreciate it. It was a lot going on, but again, I made it through. Now, what I will do in a few minutes here is I'm not going back over. I'm not reading all that again tonight. I'm not. That's unless y'all want me to. And if y'all want me to, goodness gracious, God bless you. I'll do it. But what I would rather do is go back through the introduction. I'd rather go back through the introduction because it begins to set up everything that I just read. Um, so if you want to get the setting in your head for what we just read, it was try and place yourself in a situation to where you have beings on both sides of you and you have to go down a long corridor, and at the end of that corridor you get to um like the big boss at the end of a game. And once you get to that boss, you have to have someone speak for you, but while someone's speaking for you, that big boss is essentially trying to find the value and searching out answers through these different deity that you just passed, these different beings, who it is you are and why you have this value and what it is that you've done to reach this point of excellence, why these other deity would decide to protect you, why they uh why they view you as valuable, right? But it's all done through ritual. There are some of the repeating verses that the repeating questions. For instance, I will go back and look at it because there was a lot of them. Quite honestly, whenever it says, "What then is this?" or "Who is that?" or "What is that?" so on and so forth, that is very emblematic of some of the things that. And again, I am not aligning Freemasonry with uh, the rituals in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I'm simply saying that I can see different correlations, and not just through the Egyptian Book of the Dead, but various different religions throughout the world, as it were. So that was a lot. I gotta pop my back on that. I'm gonna pat myself on the back tonight. That was good. Those names, oh my goodness, those names never, those names never end. They never end. This like why would they name each other that? Were they upset with each other, or was he like, you know what, lesser deity, this was gonna happen. Ain't nobody gonna ever be able to say your name. You ain't gonna ever get any type of followers because we just don't we no, we ain't gonna ever nobody can pronounce your name. It's too much. It's just too much. But yeah, that was a lot to read. It's a lot to take in. What I will do, however, is I am going to go back and read a lot of this tonight. Um, and I read it in my head. And I'll draw my own different lines and correlations and all the other good stuff. But that was important to read. I'm glad I did read it because I wasn't. My initial movement was to simply read the introduction and then plates 1 through 4, and essentially go back and I wasn't going to start plates 5 through 10 until next week, but I wanted to continue on with it. So give me a second here. Let me regroup, stretch myself back out. Uh, and I will continue I will continue to, I'll go back through the introduction. Again, the introduction sets up the whole atmosphere of the different plates as well as the Egyptian book of the dead and of the dead. In and of itself, it does a great job with helping us understand the setting and the time that this took place. So let me jump into it. And this introduction again was done by John Baldock. So the Egyptian Book of the Dead, I got the smaller version, and I'm going to reread the introduction. I promise you, the introduction is not nearly as long as plates 5 through 1,000 is what it seemed like, but 5 through 10. So, introduction to to set the Egyptian Book of the Dead in its wider context, we need to remember that the civilization of ancient Egypt, the Egypt of the pharaohs, endured for well over 3,000 years before it came to an end with its annexation by Rome in around 30 BC. Periods of political strife and upheaval were balanced by times of peace and prosperity, the most significant of which coincide with the periods known as the Old Kingdom, which were 2650 through 2152 BC, the Middle Kingdom, 1986 through 1759 BC, and the New Kingdom, 1539 to 1069 BC. It was during the New Kingdom that the Book of the Dead that the Book of the Dead, as we now know it, emerged, but the ideas and beliefs expressed in it had gradually evolved over the preceding 2,000 years or longer, shaped by a combination of the Egyptians' experience of everyday life, the landscape in which they lived, and historical events. The annual flooding of the Nile, on which the fertility of the land bordering the great river depended, and the orbital movement of the sun, moon, and stars led to the belief that life followed a recurring cyclical pattern. Moreover, the universe appeared to be governed by an eternal cosmic order, Ma'at, within which everything had its rightful place, even human life, whose principal phases of birth, youth, parenthood, old age, and death were compressed into a lifespan of about 35 years, was an integral part of this cosmic order. Like other ancient civilizations, the Egyptians expressed their beliefs through the myths in which the exploits of the gods personified both visible phenomena and the invisible forces that drove the cyclical patterns governing the universe. Myths and the religion they inspired underwent a considerable evolution in the millennia prior to the emergence of the Book of the Dead, influenced partly by shifts in regional power and partly by the priests who attended the temples and cult centers in the cities upon the Nile, up and down the Nile. However, two elements remain constant: the prominence of the various gods associated with the sun, Ra, Horus, and Aten, and the central role of the king or pharaoh. The latter made offerings to the gods on behalf of his subjects, and the gods reciprocated by giving life to the pharaoh and his people. According to the Book of Dead, a similar reciprocal arrangement was believed to sustain the life of the deceased after his or her entombment. Of the many myths left behind, the ancient Egyptians, there is one that particularly relevant. There is one that particularly relevant for the Book of the Dead, which is the myth of Osiris. The full myth is quite lengthy, but its principal elements are as follows. The sky goddess Nut and the earth god Geb had four children: two sons, Osiris and Set, and two daughters, Isis and Nephthys. The brothers married their sisters. Osiris married Isis, and Set married Nephthys, and Osiris, as firstborn son, succeeded his father to the throne of Egypt. He ruled the primitive Egyptians with kindness and educated them, thus laying the foundations of the great civilization they were to become. Set grew jealous of Osiris and murdered him, dismembered his brother's body, scattered the pieces across Egypt, and set himself on the throne. Isis, with the help of her sister Nephthys and the gods Anubis and Thoth, located the pieces of her husband, gathered them together, and mummified his body, thus restoring him to life. Rather than return to earth, however, Osiris became the eternal ruler of the realm of the afterlife, the netherworld or Duat. Meanwhile, Horus, the son of Osiris and Isis, avenged his father by defeating Set and becoming king in his father's place. From then on, the living pharaoh of Egypt embodied the spirit of Horus, while his deceased father became a new Osiris. The Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead grew out of a long tradition of funerary texts, its first examples of which are known as the pyramid texts because they were written on the walls of the burial chambers in the pyramids of the pharaohs of the Old Kingdom. The earliest known examples were discovered in the Pyramid of King Unas at Saqqara and dates from around 2345 BC. The purpose of the pyramid text was to help the deceased pharaoh take his place among the gods, and to this end, they included hymns, prayers, and magical spells to ward off the dangers encountered in the afterlife. Initially, they were exclusively for royal use, but in the declining years of the Old Kingdom, the right to use them was assumed by regional governors and other high ranking officials, for they too wished to become identified with Osiris, who lived on as ruler in the netherworld. A new corpus of funerary texts emerged during the Middle Kingdom. The coffin texts, which is, as their name implies, were written on the inner surfaces of the wooden coffins. These texts included spells drawn from the pyramid text plus many new compositions. Some of them also included illustrations. Excuse me. When coffins changed from rectangular wooden boxes to a shape that followed the contours of the mummified body, the texts were written on a papyrus which was rolled up and placed in the coffin with the deceased. Many thousands of papyri were produced during the New Kingdom, by which time the Book of the Dead had passed into widespread use. The title Book of the Dead was first coined in 1842 by Richard Lipsius, the German Egyptologist, but it has been suggested that a more appropriate title would be Spells for the Coming Forth by Day, for its purpose was to enable the deceased to emerge safely from the tomb in a perfected, spiritualized form. Nowadays, the term Book of the Dead usually refers to the entire corpus of almost 200 chapters or spells, from which a selection was made for inclusion in the individual papyri. Although the format for presenting the selected chapters became more or less standardized, the order in which they were arranged varied from one papyrus to another. Coming forth by day. The ancient Egyptians believed that the individual human being was a compound of several elements. This part I found interesting the first time I read it. Um, just the way they broke the human composition down. So anyway, the ancient Egyptians believed that the individual human being was a compound of several elements. The Kaperu, meaning modes or manifestations of human existence, which disintegrated at death. These elements included the physical body, or Kat, the heart, Ib, believed to be the seat of the mind or intelligence, the name Ren, which constituted the individuality of the deceased and was thus essential for his or her continued existence in the afterlife, the shadow, Shut, which was also related to the individuality of the deceased, but was able to separate itself from the body and enjoy independent freedom of movement, the life force or spirit, Ka, which remained in the tomb with the body was the deceased with the body of the deceased and was nourished with a constant supply of offerings. The soul or spirit, Ba, depicted the vignettes as a small bird with a human head, which was free to visit the world of the living during the day, returning to the tomb at sunset. The disintegration of these diverse elements was prevented through the mummification of the body, a process by which the deceased was transformed into a divine or spiritual form known as the Sa. When the mummy was placed in the tomb, it was believed to enter the Duat or netherworld, where it underwent two ceremonial rituals: the weighing of the heart and the opening of the mouth. The first of these was a form of judgment of the life of the deceased, whereby his or her heart was placed in a scale and weighed against a feather, symbolizing Mayat. The ceremony was supervised by the jackal headed Anubis and the ibis headed Thoth, who wrote down the outcome. If the heart passed this test, the deceased could continue their passage through the Duat. If it failed, it was eaten by Amit, the devourer. The second ritual, which was performed by a priest, involved touching the facial covering of the mummy with one or more ceremonial instruments, thereby unstopping the mouth, eyes, ears, and nostrils of the deceased so that they regain the use of these faculties. The opening of the mouth was of great importance since it enabled the deceased to recite the hymns and prayers written on the papyrus. It also enabled them to address by name the gods it would encounter in the Duat and respond correctly to their questioning. Other items placed in the tomb with the mummy included the canopic jars, which contained and preserved internal organs of the deceased, a supply of offerings for the gods, and the ka, and several small figures or shibits, whose function was to help the deceased perform laborious tasks in the afterlife, such as plowing the land in the fields of peace and reeds. If the deceased followed the instructions of the papyrus and recited its hymns and spells, they would become an Ankh, a blessed spirit. And leaving the mummy in the tomb, they would join the gods Osiris and Ra. The Papyrus of Ani. The Papyrus of Ani, which dates from around 1275 BC, was found at Thebes and purchased by the British Museum in 1888. Ani was overseer of the double granary of the Lord of Tower, and his wife Tutu was a chantress in the temple of Amun. His papyrus is one of the longest known manuscripts of the Book of the Dead, measuring 23.5 meters or 77 feet in length and contains over 60 chapters of spells. Many of these chapters are illustrated with richly colored vignettes depicting the various stages of Ani's journey through the Duat towards the paradisal field of reeds. The majority of the text is written in black ink, while red ink is used for chapter headings and the instructions or the rubrics to be followed by the deceased. The papyrus begins with Ani, accompanied by his wife, offering praise to the sun god Ra and to Osiris, lord and ruler of the Duat. Subsequent vignettes show the ceremonies of the weighing of the heart and the opening of the mouth, Ani's funeral procession and the placing of his mummified body in the tomb, and his meetings with various gods in the course of his journey through the Duat. The papyrus culminates with Ani's arrivals in the fields of peace, or reeds. The translation of the Papyrus of Ani, presented in the following pages, is by E. A. Wallace Budge, keeper of the Department of the Egyptian and Assyrian Antiquities from 1894 to 1924, as well as enlarging the museum's Egyptian collections. Budge wrote many books that did much to stimulate popular interest in ancient Egypt. His translation of the Papyrus of Ani, which was published under the title The Egyptian Book of the Dead, included many variant chapters from other manuscripts and numerous appendices, all of which have been omitted in this edition. He also inserted copious footnotes, some of which have been retained in shortened form alongside a few new ones. So in this book, there are uh, a lot of footnotes at the end. The pictures are not in color at all. However, what I have been able to do is I visited, there's a museum in San Jose, California, and I cannot remember the name of that museum, but I did visit it. I've been there multiple different times, and it's absolutely beautiful. And if memory serves me right, a lot of the stuff that this is talking about, they have depictions uh, drawn up in that space. And it's an awesome museum. If you're in California and you hear this, I highly recommend you go into it. I will look up the name and I'll do a video of it. I think I even have pictures of it. Some old pictures. So I'll find those and I'll get those posted. I'll do a video with it. But the introduction gives a great overview, excuse me, of what's going on. And if you think about what I just read, and if you were with me while I was doing the reading of the plates 5 through 10, as well as the recitals, essentially, it would make a little more sense talking about the procession of Ani and his wife during his mummification, and then his travels through the Duat. So thinking about that, it makes a lot more sense to me. And I am excited to continue reading the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I will pick this back up on Sunday. Uh, a lot of the country is going to be cold. Let's see, I'm on page 60. So I got to make sure I get myself back over there. I don't want to forget where I am and lose my spot. But yeah, a lot of the country is going to be cold anyway. So tell a friend to tell a friend to go pick up a pen and some paper. And again, this is just for educational purposes only. This is not to try and convert anyone. These are not the things that I believe. This is something that I like to do. I like to study different religions, different philosophies throughout the world, just to know, just to get an understanding of, especially those ancient religions, those ancient texts that that a lot of people hear about and will directly condemn, but have never read themselves. I tend to, if somebody tells me not to read something, I tend to say, okay, I'm finna go read it then. That's just my character. So again, I thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. Friday, switching gears a little bit, switching gears just a little bit. Friday, come join me on the Family Bloodline podcast on YouTube. The YouTube channel is the Family Bloodline, or it's at the Family Bloodline 5823, I believe. Actually, I can check it out. Yeah, 5823 at the Family Bloodline podcast 5823. Myself, as well as one of my other cousins, excuse me. Mm, that water's good. We will be, actually, you can go look at my videos to see what we're going to be talking about Friday. But it is a live podcast. It's a global podcast, and I put the link in the chat so that we can have your opinions on and we can hear them. I think it's very important that we continue to converse with each other, big things, small things, and things in between. And things in between. So the more you talk about the small things and you get comfortable with each other, the easier it is to converse about, to, and through the harder things. We are family and we got to act accordingly. So come and join me. It's a personal invite. Join myself, join my panel on the Family Bloodline podcast. Friday, it starts at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we're going to be there and we're going to show up. And we look forward to conversing with everybody. Again, if there is a book or manuscripts or verses or anything you would like for me to read, send it to my DMs and I will pick up on it and we will get there together. I would do my best to get around to it. As of right now, this is the only thing that I have. Well, actually, I've got two other books that I'm going to start reading directly after this, and I'll be on to continue doing some reading. One is a book by NDT. If anybody's familiar with him, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I met that guy, wonderful guy, some years ago. Anyway, um, but his book is about black holes, and I'm a little bit of a geek or a nerd in that sense. I like that stuff. I like the star stuff. So I'm gonna start reading that book. And then of course I have another book about Freemasonry, which I'm going to read as well. So if you are interested in if you're interested in any of that, by all means hop on. I'm just getting this stuff started and I'm gonna keep pushing it forward to see who all well, I don't really, I'll be honest with y'all. This is something that I'm doing because I like to do. I don't need people to hear, follow, or listen to what I'm saying. I can hear myself. I like to hear myself read. And also, as I record, what I'm doing is setting these things up so that my children can replay them later on in life. So, but you're more than welcome to come and hang out with me. And hopefully you all learn something. I learn something every time I read this stuff. Again, I read this book decades ago, and I'm reading it again with different experiences that I've been through, and I'm picking up on a lot of other different stuff. So, yeah. But anyway, go and check out my video for Friday for the podcast, the Family Bloodline Podcast, and hop on with us. So, until then, I bid you all good night, and thank you for watching.